what I've done basically is, if I was really tight for time, at 60 minutes and I wanted to make as much food as humanly possible, basically I'm going to try to prep a week's worth-ish of food in that 60-minute time frame. Grains, protein, sauce, even a sweet treat. Let's see how we go. First thing I'm going to do is, because I'm against the clock, get the oven on straight away. That's going to take a while to get hot. So I'm going to put it on nice and high, 190, so that it cooks everything as quickly as possible without making anything like really tough. So the first thing we're going to put on is our chicken, and we're going to cook the roots, the root meat or the root vegetables underneath it. So I always cook the thing that takes the longest, the first or the soonest, and that means that everything else will kind of follow suit. So we'll start off with the root veggies. We'll get them underneath. We'll put the chicken on top so that when it cooks, all the juices kind of drop down into the root veggies, and it makes this delicious self-oiling dish, and I don't need to add any oil on top of that. So first thing I'm going to do is chop up my sweet potatoes. I'm not going to worry about taking the skin off these because I've given them a wee quick wash and there's nothing really obnoxiously wrong with them. So I'm just going to take the two ends off. So rather than going lengthwise, I'm just going to go straight down the centre, and that'll be a little bit more straightforward. And then I just need to cut it into a size that I know will cook in under an hour. You just don't want massive chunks. The bigger it is, the harder it's going to be to cook, and you don't want it to finish way after or way before your chicken. The chicken's going to take 45 to 60 minutes because there's bone in it, and the bone makes it take that little bit longer than if you were cooking just a breast. I'm going to also stick some potatoes in to bake alongside these. These are the biggest ones I had, so I'm going to do, for me, a portion size would be 2 of those. So all I'm doing here is just poking a few wee holes in the end of it. I'm going to grab, there's a wee bit on the edge of most peelers that takes the nasty bits out of your spuds. They're little eyes, they're called. So I'm going to gas those. And that's that one prepped. The rest of them I'll do exactly the same way, just take the eyes out. So potatoes are there, sweet potatoes are there. I've got this chicken thigh drumstick situation. We're going to chuck that on top. And like I said, all of the fats, because it's a thigh meat from the skin, are going to drip down onto the tray, onto the veggies, and they're going to make it taste absolutely delicious. If you've got thigh like this, if you just stretch it out, those endy bits are just going to become pure crisps. You can add a bit of seasoning on top of this if you fancy. I'm going to leave it as it is and season it afterwards. This is a great wee tip. Scrap bowl or any kind of bowl, anything, just to chuck your wee end bits into. So any of your peelings, bad bits, etc., if you just throw them into that, it saves you going back and forth to the bin. So the next thing I'm going to get into the oven is some salmon, peppers and onion. I'm going to roast that all on the same tray as well. So for the onion, I find this a really handy way to chop them. I chopped a lot of onions and I just want to do it the fastest way possible. It's probably not the exact professional way to do it, but it gets the job done. So we're just going to take the top bit off. That wee fuzzy bit there. Likewise with the root, take that off. And then we're just going to cut it straight through the middle. So you've got a nice flat surface on the bottom to do that. And then I like to just break the skin slightly there. And then it's really easy to peel. really easy to peel the skin off. The salmon and onion and peppers, they're going to go in for 30 minutes for the onion and peppers and 15 minutes for the salmon. So we'll get the onion and peppers in first, and then we'll add, in fact, we'll chuck it all in at once. We'll take the salmon out and we'll leave the onion and peppers to finish cooking. So now you've got your halves. All I'm gonna do is cut each of those into 3. Again, just looking at the size, if I cut it any smaller than that, they're just gonna be burnt to a cinder. For the peppers, my favorite way to cut these is just below where the curve starts. So I will literally go here. That way you've got your wee seed basket underneath. You can just pop that out. and the seeds are going to be bitter, they're not going to taste good. So we get rid of those really easy like that. And then this should, in theory, just kind of pop out as well. There we go. And any seeds that are lurking, gas those bad boys. And there we are. So with the onions being cut around this size, I'm going to do the same thing with the peppers, so we cook basically at the same time. So I'm aiming for roughly the same size. And the more colours you have, obviously, the more nutrients you're tapping into, the better you're going to feel. So that's all my peppers on that tray. My onions are going to go on here too. Because I don't have any lovely fats going on top of it, I don't have any chicken or anything, I will put a little bit of oil onto this. I like to use coconut oil. Any oil will do the job. Whatever you like to use is golden. And likewise, feel free to season away. Bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of smoked paprika, cumin, be really nice. Salmon, if it's like this is how I like to buy it. It's really nice pan fried, but this is a lot more efficient. So I'm going to pop it on. What I'm doing here is just making sure there aren't any little bits of scale on the salmon, which there are a few. I'm just picking them off because they don't taste great. So it's going to take slightly less than a tablespoon of oil, drizzle that over, and then throw it into the oven as well. So the oven's up to temperature. I'll set a timer for 15 minutes to take my salmon out, and then I'll set a 30-minute timer to take these little bad boys out after that. Now we're going to make our sweet treat. So the reason we're making this now is because it takes a while to set in the fridge, and if I make it right now, by the end of cooking, as a reward, the treat should be ready to go. So the sweet treat we're going to make is, I made one of these earlier. It looks like this. This one is for Tony, so it's got some protein in it. I can't eat whey protein, so that's all his, unfortunately. But we'll use all of the same bits and bobs to make another one. He is going to make this one though for me. Right, there's your dish. So we want a cup of oats. This is really simple. There's 3 ingredients. 1 cup of oats. Pour those into that and then pop them into your wee bowl. Nice. And then half a cup of nut butter, which I will give you a half cup. I really like this nut butter. It's from Sainsbury's. There's nothing in it apart from peanuts, which is really good. A lot of brands add secret agave, oils, salt, etc. I like it to just be what it is. If you can't take nuts for whatever reason, tahini, sesame seed butter would be a decent swap, or sunflower seed butter. Okay, so 1 cup of oats, a half a cup of nut butter, and then a 1/4 cup of maple syrup or honey, and that's it. That's all we need to make the actual base of the bar. And that just needs a good mix around. I like to add a wee pinch of salt to that as well. Just a little tiny one that'll bring out all of the flavours. So you can, in your one, we mixed in some whey protein. You could do that. You could add in some crushed nuts or some raisins or other things like that if you particularly wanted, but we're keeping this one really, really simple. Loosely line that and then press that stuff in. The more you squash it, the more it'll hold together as a bar. Okay, and if you want to do a topper, the chocolatey topper we have on the top of that one, 3 ingredients again: cacao, coconut oil, maple syrup, tablespoon of that, a tablespoon of cacao or cocoa powder. Either works. And then a tablespoon of maple syrup. Give it a mix around, yeah. Main thing is the coconut oil in it. Whenever we fridge that, will set and it'll be a nice crispy top. Then once that's done, it's going into the fridge. Next thing I'm going to do, that's going to take the next longest, is boil my potatoes. So all I'm going to do is any of the little eyes that are on here, they're typically a bit smaller because they're not as sturdy as spud as the ones that are in the oven. So you can generally just pick them off with your finger. All I'm going to do is chop these all in half. That'll take a sec. Wait. Next two things I'm going to cook are two grains. I'm going to cook rice and quinoa. So 1 cup of rice. And see, if you don't have a cup measure, it doesn't matter, just whatever you use. 1 to 1.5 ratio will achieve the exact same. 1.5 cups of water. And then we're going to bring that up to a nice big rolling boil. And same thing with the quinoa that we did with the rice. We're going to use our cup measure and we'll follow the same strategy. 1 cup of quinoa. So that's your 1 cup, and then your 1.5 cups of water. So we half. No. There we go. And we'll do the same. Bring it right up to a boil. If you're not sure about your salmon, freaks you out, you don't trust the timings, whatever, you can always just pop it open in the middle, as long as it's nice and uni-coloured, one colour, all that nice kind of salmon colour throughout, we're all good. If it's a kind of darker colour in the middle, you might want to give it a wee bit longer. And we're just going to, oh, glamorous. We're just going to lift these off, pop them into our tub. Skin, entirely up to you. If you like it, eat it. If you don't, don't. And then get those peppers back in the oven. I'm going to pickle some cabbage. It'll look like this whenever it's done, which is just the most beautiful colour. And all I've done is add a bit of vinegar to it, so the vinegar will start like almost kind of cooking it, bringing it down. You can do the same thing, I've done it here with onion, so you can make little pickled onions. And it's literally a case of chopping it finely and soaking it in vinegar. I use apple cider vinegar because, it's not the lid for that, I like how naturally sweet it is. But any vinegar will absolutely do the same job. This is a nice rule. If you use your hand like a wee claw, your knife blade will always touch your knuckle and not cut through your fingers. The cabbage is gonna go in here. Nice fine wee strands. That will definitely, yeah, stain your fingers. But it's a sign of working hard, right? And then we're just going to toss our vinegar over the top of it. Next, sauce. Okay, so this will bring everything together. This sauce is my favourite sauce. These beans I'm using, they are cannellini beans. They're in water. There's nothing else added to them. I really like that. That is something that I care about. Not for everybody, but it means that when you open this and you put it in, you don't need to strain it, you don't need to wash it, it's just good to go. 1 cup of cashews. That's going to make a nice kind of creamy base. Garlic. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding in the things that are going to be the hardest to blend first. So these are big chunky items. The rest of it's going to be smooth. It's going to be spices. Beans are soft. That's all pretty straightforward. Screw the lid on. Garlic and cashews is all I have in here, and then I'm going to give it a really quick blitz and turn it into like a nut butter kind of thing. All of the beans and bean water are going in. So it's 230 grams of beans, 150 grams of water. That's going straight in there. I'm going to roll the lemon because it will be easier to juice. And a quick roll, making it easier to juice, seems like a fair trade to me. I like tools in the kitchen to be as multi-purpose as possible, which is why I'm just using a sieve for this instead of having a specific juicing tool, because I feel like you don't need it. It does exactly the same thing. A generous pinch or a half a teaspoon of salt, same of your pepper, and then we'll just taste it once it's blended, and we can change that if we need to. Texture wise, this is your shout. It looks like this right now, You can make it looser if you want to, if you want it a little bit runnier. It will thicken up in the fridge as it sits. And you can just keep adding water to it eternally until you get to the texture you like. Each day it'll get a little bit thicker again, and you can loosen it out again, so it'll last forever. Like I said, taste this. Last thing I'm gonna do, and this is just about the laziest but handiest thing. I've got a couple of bowls of veggies. They're straight from the freezer. I'm gonna microwave them a few minutes each, and then that's everything done. So we've got our quinoa cooked up. It's lovely and fluffy. We did it like the rice. We checked in on it. It looks pretty happy, and I'm excited to add that to my meals. Same deal, our rice is looking really good. And then our potatoes, the boiling potatoes, they're ready. All I'll do is drain them and shove them in a tub. In the oven, everything's finished up in there too. Now I'll show you how I would assemble things and make them into meals. So we basically got the full body of food for really 4 or 5 days, maybe even longer. Number one, I've got a little fajita bowl, burrito bowl, something like that. Some of the rice, some sweet potato, chicken, peppers, some of the corn, a little bit of salt and pepper on there. I put some chipotle chili flakes on too, and I think a little drizzle of this sour cream. Now, I've all these wee herbs over to the side. They're going to make everything taste better. They're filled with micronutrients as well, so we could chuck in a little bit of coriander on top of that too. And we'll just lift it up ever so slightly. Meal one, done. The next one is a little salmon grain bowl. So we got our quinoa here. I've added stuff to this. I've rocket underneath it. You don't need to do any prep for that at all. Again, full of loads of micronutrients. Really colourful, nice texture, just adds to the whole dish. Our wee frozen peas in there and some beetroot, also cooked, ready to go. Don't need to add anything else to the beetroot. And then I think a bit of avocado will be nice in this. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding little things to each meal to kind of elevate it a bit. And I would always throw some seasoning on my avocado because I think it needs it. By seasoning, I just mean salt, really. And that's that one, ready to go. Next up, I've got a little sweet or potato salad. So we've got our lovely resistant starch here. Delicious potatoes, very Irish. We're going to add in some of this sour cream. On top of that, potatoes, peas. I've actually got some chives on there. What I think will go really nicely with this is some of our freshly cooked salmon. So we've got salmon, potato, peas, scallions, our gorgeous sour cream. What would be nice on this? Maybe a little bit of the pickled cabbage. Yes, look at that colour. Ooh, rocket would be nice in that too. Jacket potatoes, very 1990s. I love it. I'm going to put in some corn and chicken, and I think this wants to be creamy as well. Bit of parsley, that'd be nice. You don't have to use the fresh herbs, but the fresh herbs, they've got loads of added little nutrients, and you may as well tap into them. I love this. It's good for your wee liver and your kidneys. It's good for your wee kidneys. Plus, it just tastes really nice, and that little bit of colour. Never a bad thing. Okay, and then we're going to just fill these wee spuds. Delicious. I love it. And then if there's any left over, you can just have it as a little side salad. You could chuck some more of your rocket in there or any of your other little topping bits and bobs. Baked potato, side salad. Go and have a look, set it all out, see what you think looks really nice together, see what you think tastes really nice together. Try a couple of different things. You might find that peas go really well with your chicken and sweet potato, or actually that pickled onion tastes really great with the salmon and white potato and quinoa. There's no rules, just enjoy it. Enjoy dipping, mixing, making and eating.